Hey, this is Rory at GameCollision.com, here to bring you the video review for Bully Scholarship Edition for the Xbox 360. The original Bully came out in 2006 exclusively for the PlayStation 2, and now it's been remade for the Xbox 360 with extra content and improved visuals. The extra content includes 8 new missions, 4 new classes, new unlockable items and clothing, and a 2-player offline mode. The game itself is just as good as it ever was. Fortunately, nothing got screwed up when they ported it over. Bully takes place at a fictional school called Bulworth Academy. You play as Jimmy Hopkins, who starts off as the typical bad boy. The school is full of cliques: the nerds, the jocks, the preps, the greasers, the bullies, and the dropouts, or the townies. You'll start off small, running errands for nerds, but you slowly work your way up through the cliques until you're on top.
Oh, Jimmy, you did it! You did it! I'm king of the school!
Right away, you only have a few friends: a sociopath named Gary and a quiet kid named Pete.
Socio what?
Gary tells you his plans of taking over the school and begins to make it clear that he doesn't actually want you as a friend and wants the school for himself. He eventually comes out on top, and it's your job to take him out. This is where the missions come in. You'll need to gain respect from the cliques to earn their help in order to advance. The visuals in the game are a nice improvement over the PS2 version. The graphics are much cleaner this time around, but they still don't hold up to most current 360 games. The textures are pretty bland, and the character models, although better, are still blocky. The animations are a bit smoother than before, but they're still pretty stiff. The mouths do a better job of lining up with the voice though, and the characters actually have facial expressions now. The frame rate, unfortunately, is still not very good. It's been improved slightly, but it's still very unstable, and goes from smooth to choppy constantly throughout the game without any real reason for it to do so. There is a bit of pop-in, but it's pretty minor and usually only happens when approaching the city. There's also other minor graphical glitches such as character twitching and clipping, but most of it isn't a big deal. The lighting in this game is not so great. To convey a sunset, for example, there's just an orange haze that's put over the screen, and nothing actually affects the environment in any way. The day into night transitions are also a bit awkward and abrupt. One second you'll be walking around in broad daylight, and the next second everything is dark. It happens a lot, and it just seems weird and outdated. Overall, though, it is a much better looking game, and that certainly adds to the enjoyment. The audio is the same as it ever was. The music isn't amazing, but it's fun and does a good job of setting the mood for the game.
Look at the pipsqueak go! Get out of my way!
The sound effects are decent. They're all over exaggerated and cartoony, but they fit with the game.
Your aggro management won't save you, Hopkins!
The voice acting I thought was very good. Each character is really given their own identity through their voices and dialogue. It makes each character feel really dynamic.
The bullies might have gotten him. Please, I'll pay!
I say do it. It's a good chance to show Russell who's in charge around here.
The gameplay in Bully is actually really good. There's no shortage of violence in this game, and the fighting mechanics work well. You really get a sense of impact every time you throw a punch, and taking people out is a lot of fun and rarely gets repetitive. By doing certain side missions, you'll learn new fighting moves, which can actually be pretty useful. Most of the time, though, you'll just be mashing X to take people out. The only real problem with the fighting is the targeting system. You target an enemy by facing them and holding down the left trigger. Unfortunately, it doesn't work quite as well as we would have hoped. You'll constantly be trying to target someone you've gotten into a fight with, and for whatever reason, you'll target someone completely random. The weapons in the game are fun to use, but they're just not that useful. Besides boss battles, there's really no point in using them except when you're messing around. There's no carjacking or anything like that in the game, but you will unlock things like skateboards, bikes, go-karts, stuff like that. The majority of the game will have you participating in different missions. Missions work kind of like GTA. They're given to you by a certain person and you visit them to activate the mission manually. It's an open world game and you're never forced to do a mission when you don't want to. The missions offer a wide variety of tasks. Most of them are pretty straightforward, such as collection or fighting missions, but every so often you'll run into a mission that's just ridiculous, in a completely hilarious way. You're also supposed to go to class each day, but that's not a requirement. You can play hooky if you want. It's a good idea to attend classes though, as completing each one will earn you a useful reward, and getting them done usually means you won't be bothered by them later on. The classes are just mini-games that relate in some way to the subject. There's things like anagrams, simple math problems, and the usual sequential button pressing. The added classes to the Scholarship Edition aren't quite as good as the originals though. They all feel a bit rushed and tacked on. The music class, for example, has you playing a DDR type game with the triggers. The buttons move down the screen in time with the music, and you hit them when they reach the bottom. The problem is that the music rarely lines up with the button presses, and you'll have to rely completely on visuals. The music just screws you up. Classes can be fun at first, but you'll get sick of them pretty quickly. Aside from the main story, there's so much you can do. There are side quests, errand missions, boxing, racing, character customization, you name it. Unfortunately, the multiplayer is pretty lame. You and one friend can compete offline in a series of mini-games, which are basically just the classes and arcade games. There's nothing really cool like bike racing or boxing or anything like that. You'll get bored quickly. Overall, Bully is still the same great game with even more thrown in. The improved visuals are what really make this version better. The extra content isn't as much as we would have hoped, but it doesn't make the game any worse. There's still so much to do in the game that it will easily last you a good 20 to 30 hours depending on how much you do. The most important thing though is that despite all the bugs and minor downfalls, the game is just plain fun. You'll find all the issues pretty easy to ignore and you'll be having such a great time playing it. At only $50, Bully is definitely something all 360 owners will want to pick up. I give Bully Scholarship Edition an 8.4 out of 10. Check out GameCollision.com for the full written review.